Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. Today on the Sweetwater Minute, I'm joined by Frank Falbo. Frank is Vice President of Product Development at Seymour Duncan. Thanks for coming in, Frank. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good to see you, man.
You too.
So Frank is here showing us a brand new technology, some incredible pickups that we want to tell you about. Now, the pickups we're talking about today are the Zephyr pickups.
Yes.
What makes these different from other kinds of pickups?
We really set out to push the limits of design, and the first thing that we did was to wind the pickups with pure silver wire. Silver is the great conductor. It's a better conductor of electricity than copper is. It's also a great deal more expensive and harder to anneal into wire. So again, it takes some dedication to decide that you're going to pursue this. But once we did, we noticed an immediate difference in the amount of space that's given to the top and the bottom, and the clarity and detail throughout the mid-range as you play complex chords. So we knew we had something. The next up is cryogenic treatment. Once the pickup is built, we cryogenically treat the entire pickup. There are scientific attributes that you can be ascribed to this, but what we can tell you, and this is the most important part, is that when you play a pickup, then we send it away for cryogenic treatment and it comes back sounding different. So anybody can say, but at a molecular level, and how could that really change this or that? Hey, it sounds different. I mean, you can't argue with it. But it just improves the flow of electrons really just everywhere. And in a pickup, that means that yet again we noticed a further improvement of dynamics, clarity, note-to-note definition. On the humbuckers, we use a glass-filled nylon bobbin. That's a special material. Microphonics are reduced, but also it was a bobbin material, whether it's regarded to the dielectric properties or just the rigidity, sounded the best to us when we were doing the research. And there's a bimetallic pole piece in the humbuckers for the stud pole. It's nickel in the center and steel on the outside. And what that does is creates basically a very complex magnetic field as it approaches the string. So we're listening to Strats today, but on the humbucker, that offers another level of awesomeness, if you will, to the sound. Instantly recognizable, instantly noticeable. We tested everything in isolation, and everything made its own difference. And then when they all came together, they were all additive.
Right. So I've got to play devil's advocate for just a second.
Absolutely.
Guitar players tend to be pretty traditional in our tastes. We like our standard pickups and our amplifiers and our Strats and our Les Pauls.
Yes.
So how would you describe this to someone who's inevitably going to say, it's snake oil? You really haven't changed stuff that much. What would your response be to that kind of question?
We had a guy from our forum just at our shop a couple of days ago that after he tested the guitars confessed to us that was what he thought going in, and that's not, he came away just amazed. He could hear the difference. But as far as somebody saying, hey, I have these old Strats, I have these old amps, and I have this stuff that I'm familiar with, there is a difference. There will be a difference. If you like it, you will like it. If you don't, you don't. But for many people, the difference is like seeing a high-definition television for the first time. And so in a way, it's like someone saying, no, that's too clear for me. I preferred it when it was a little bit fuzzier. Sometimes we do. I mean, I just broke out old cassette tapes that I found in the garage a week ago, and that tape hiss and the little clicks. It's like you never know what people are where it's gonna connect to your DNA. So there's things we don't want to say something is this is better, this is worse, this is old, this is new. But there's definitely a difference. It's definitely audible, and what's clear to us is the only way to get there is by the methods that we've used. You couldn't put a parametric EQ after a set of pickups and just lift things and cause it to become what happens when you play a Zephyr pickup.
Right. It's like when you're recording. You're better off to capture the sound at the source than to try and fix it in the mix afterward.
That's absolutely true.
If you will.
Yeah.
So are these pickups aimed at a rock player? Are they aimed at a jazz player? Do they have a high output, a low output? How are you setting them up?
The Zephyr silver pickups are a model, okay? The elements that make up Zephyrs will be available sort of on a custom order basis. If somebody wanted one piece or something like that, they could sort of craft the pickup like that. But the pickups are models, and what these models are is coming from a place of familiarity. The Strat single coils live in a vintage Strat place, the Telecasters in a vintage Telecaster place, and the humbuckers live in a vintage, PAF style humbucker place. That's where they live.
Okay.
And so that's what that's the place where they're coming from.
Okay, so they're going to appeal to that kind of a player, somebody who's looking for that kind of a vintage tone plus.
They will. They will. If somebody is moving into a higher output pickup because they want more bite or more this or more that, then they might say, well, if I go with the Zephyrs, I'm getting all of this stuff that I thought I needed a higher output pickup to get, and I don't. But yeah, that's kind of outside the scope. That would be somebody learning how to use these pickups in a different way. But yes, as a basis, these are beginning life as in sort of the vintage output and tonal footprint.
Right,
area.
right. So you actually brought in 2 guitars today, and these are your test guitars that you used for part of anyway, for your listening tests on these pickups.
Yes.
Tell us what you have going on with these 2 guitars.
The 2 guitars are identical as any 2 guitars could be. We cut the wood from the same tree. They're from the same board. So everything is as identical as can be. If you shined a light through these trans finishes, you even see some swoops of the grains that are in the same places. But so the weight's the same, the wood is the same. Everything about them is meant to take the wood and the guitar out of the equation so that when you listen to the pickup demo, you're truly hearing the difference between one pickup and the next pickup.
Right.
Now, it's a rosewood fretboard, so a maple fretboard version of this guitar would sound different, but in any event, this produces, like I said, same platforms for an objective listening test between the two.
Right.
Potentiometers are the same, everything else is the same.
So as much as possible, we're trying to just listen to a comparison between the 2 pickups.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
There's probably no 2 guitars on earth that are more alike.
Right, right. So we've got a Mesa Boogie Mark V. We're going to plug the 2 guitars in. We're going to listen to the tones that we get out of the 2 different types of pickups. Let's see what happens. So let's begin with, I guess, what you would term as our reference Strat.
Yeah.
Now, you've taken these single coil pickups and you've actually manufactured them or made them in the same way as the Zephyrs. They just don't have the Zephyr special features.
Yeah, like I said, vintage output Strat, but these pickups were literally made by the same person who made these, and they're made to be the same, but without the Zephyr.
So we can reference between just the tone, just the differences made.
That's right.
All right, so let's listen to this Strat. So now we have the Zephyr-equipped Stratocaster. Let's listen to what that sounds like in comparison to our reference Strat. So Frank, what I'm hearing here is this guitar just seems much more alive. It seems to have a more extended top end. There's I'd say more richness in the lower mid-range. It seems to have a bit more dynamics. The notes really jump out. They really pop. We've got a nice, rich sustain, a lot of detail as notes trailing off.
Right.
The guitar just feels more alive when you're playing it. It seems to actually give back to you while you're playing it. I'm really hearing a difference. I'm surprised. I have to admit, I went into this as a bit of a skeptic. And there really is a very noticeable difference. Let's switch over to the gain channel and see if we still get the difference that we had there with the clean sound.
Okay.
So let's listen with our reference Strat through the Mark V with a little bit of gain on the signal. Now we'll switch over to the Zephyr and play the same thing. I have to say, it's really the same experience. The Zephyr just seems more alive. It seems to really jump out of the speaker, has a real presence. There's a nice round richness to the bottom end. There's a nice brightness to the top end without any harshness, though. It's real singing, real smooth.
Yeah, it's very balanced.
I'm very impressed. These are really impressive sounding pickups.
Thank you.
I hope you get a chance to check these pickups out yourself. They're worth listening to. If you're looking for that hi-fi kind of a sound, if you're looking to push your guitar kind of to that next level, these really will do it for you. I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you.
Frank, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time today. I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.